Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about the One Piece card game. Like and subscribe, I have been so close to 3,000 subscribers for so long, it is driving me crazy. Just get me over the hurdle, please, I beg you. There might be a special reward at the end. Let's get into this one. I'm so late on this, I'm so sorry. We got a ban list, and guys, this is the most telegraphed ban list in history. I have never been less surprised by a ban list. If anything, what I did find surprising was the sheer number of people who were surprised that this was the ban list, one, and two, that it's coming into effect from the OP08 pre-release in English. Have you been paying attention? Those of you who maybe do not follow this game as much as I do, so English, if we ignore the weird English-only ban list which we got, which was literally just to stop us from whining, because for some reason we refused to stop playing red over here in the West, even when it wasn't actually the best deck, and they ended up making the problem worse. But anyway, if we ignore the weird English ban list, we've had 3 ban lists in One Piece. We had the Whitebeard stage plus Kabaji ban for OP03. Then in during OP07, we got the Sakazuki leader plus Great Eruption ban, and then now we have got the Law and Lucci stage ban. The first ban happened well into OP03 for Japan. We got it at the start of OP03 from our pre-release. The Sakazuki ban happened about 2 or 3 weeks into OP07 for Japan. We got it at the start of OP07 from our pre-release. They are getting this ban list coming into effect from OP08. Unsurprisingly, we are getting that from the start of our format, aka pre-release. I just had to have that rant because it has been extremely annoying to see people like whining and being surprised about this. Like, obviously this is what was going to happen, and this is a good thing if you care about having a diverse format. Now, if you care about just being able to like have an easier time learning the format, then this is a terrible thing, because the format was about 2 decks for pre-starters, and so that's a much easier format to learn, but obviously that is not fun. It's better for competitive players, but there's a minority of the player base is super competitive, and majority is casual or wants to have fun playing the game, so this is a good thing for that. Is this a good ban list? RP Law leader. I don't like banning leaders at all. I don't think Sakazuki leader should have been banned. I've maintained that position. I think it was a stupid ban because the deck was already falling out of the format anyway. Yes, it would have probably been best deck during OP07 too, but then the moment OP08 hit, there was no chance. Like, EB, Law was already starting to push it out, and then come OP08, Sakazuki gets pushed out. Looking to OP09, it looks like Law was still going to be pretty oppressive, but like that could have been fixed with like just trait restricting Black Maria, or like hitting a variety of cards that would have like just toned the power level of the deck down just enough that it would have been fine. But anyway, considering the leader bans are now something that Bandai loves doing, yes, Law had to go. It was more oppressive than Sakazuki ever was, and frankly has a lot more room to be broken than Sakazuki did. So yeah, this is a good hit. And then Eni's lobby is just a slap on the wrist for Lucci. It's just going to push everyone over to Moria. Black is not out of the format. It's just... yeah, like Lucci was doing stupid things with cost reduction 3 a turn. Like, it was too good. And it was also high rolly. Like, this is not a searchable stage. So if you just opened it or got lucky in one of your initial few damage and you just triggered it, then great. So with my thoughts on the ban list out of the way there, overall positive. Oh, I guess I should say the one other thing that everyone was, like a lot of people were saying should have been hit is 8 cost Moria. I would have agreed with that 6 months ago. And now you can see that the way they've moved card design has generally been away from making Moria the most abusable card. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still extremely abusable. Fundamentally, when you are getting, what, like 15 costs worth of cards for 9, that's going to be good. You know, it's the one of, if not the best cards in the game, so it's always going to be strong. But I mean, it's nowhere near as oppressive for the format, from what I can see, as it was during those, you know, Moria, the Black Mirrors, where it's just whoever draws more Moria. Like, that isn't as much of a thing anymore. So Moria's probably okay, but I mean, it's absolutely smack bang at the top of the watch list for me, where like the moment we see another crazy black like 4-drop printed, I'm just going to be like, okay, you dodged it last time, but just get it out now. That's a card that really should never have been printed. All right, so let's talk about tier list now. This is going to be OP08 format pre-starter deck. So this is going to be for the NATS season 1 of NATS. There's going to be Wave 2, which is, I think, just going to be Utrecht and Dallas. I believe it's just those, not Dallas, and Orlando. I think it's just those two. And also the Asia, Oceania, and the LATAM finals as well, which I don't remember where those are. Not sure yet. Also, I'm using I think a Spanish or a Portuguese tier list here, so yep, funny. This is a lot more granular than I thought it was going to be, and this is basically going to be. So initially, I want to frame this as a discussion, because another thing that I find very frustrating about the player base for One Piece is that we see a ban list come into effect, and we immediately look to whatever the next best deck in the format was, and we go, oh, this is tier 0 now. That's not how this game works, and I'm going to make a video on this, because this is something that I've found continually frustrating about wider conversation for this game. The way this game is designed, fundamentally, every colour, every deck just has at least one really bad matchup. If that colour ever rose to the top, ever rose to like a play rate of 50, 60, 70%, all that happens is players bring the other colour and they hard counter it. There is no such thing, like outside of these tier 0 oppressive circumstances, right, where we have your RP laws, which are just dominant, right, or Sakazuki for periods of time, which was just dominant, right. I mean, Sakazuki was less so than RP law, due to sort of the skill level you needed for that deck. Whereas RP Law, like, very much you could just, by nature of being an aggro deck, like, fundamentally, there are situations, there are play lines where you just win the game with zero thought. That happened less often with Sakazuki. But anyway, the point is that this is a game defined by metas, not necessarily card power level. So I find it really frustrating that I sit there and I read all these conversations about how, oh, well, the game's, RP Law was checking X deck, so now, or X deck was really good, and now RP Law's, well, it's going to be tier 0. It's not what's going to happen, right? Like, we're going to see the meta evolve, and maybe the decks that were, like, just below RP Law before are just good enough into the format. The counters are not quite at that power level or have other bad matchups that are very prevalent, that it ends up being that they do stay on top. I think that's probably quite unlikely. So I'm just going to go ahead and we'll start off by putting my my two top contenders for the best decks in the format in the tier list where they belong. So the first of those is going to be Bonnie, and the second, if I can find it here, is going to be BY Luffy. So I think these are pretty unequivocally the best two decks right now following the ban list. I think, Bonnie gets some really powerful tools in OP07. In particular, gets Carrot. I think that's a huge win for the deck. There's some other stuff too, which I'm blanking on. But Carrot, I know, is very much the big one. BY Luffy is just, no longer instantly dying to the most popular deck in the format, was already extremely strong. And the go wide, go fast decks that currently are seeing play are not fast enough to actually handle like BY Luffy. Now, the reason I'm saying currently is because I'm going to begin with my first hot take. Old Reliable, I'm going to put him in B just because obviously I have not, this is untested, right? I am speculating fundamentally. I haven't sat down and, played millions of games of the format, but for me, I'm looking at Zoro and I'm going, well, this deck looks poised to take on these top two. Like BY is fundamentally a yellow deck, right? It's a yellow deck with Moria, and it's a deck that can lose to just extreme pressure. It's a deck that, if you go to 0, can just lose to Diablo Jambe, right? Like, I mean, it's unlikely, but, you swing 14, if they've got, like, a 3-card hand, like, I don't care if you're a 9k base, that's killing you. So, obviously, there's play to make the matchup less bad, like, in theory, but you know what I'm saying, right? And the same with Bonnie, right? Like, fundamentally, like, yes, you're getting huge value out of the leader skill, but it's a grind deck, and if I'm constantly just turning my leader sideways, play rush card, swing with rush card, play rush card, swing with rush card, like, you're not getting any value out of your leader ability. I'm applying huge amounts of pressure against a color that famously does not have the most counter. So, I think I'm going to start off with just going, come on. Zoro has got to be extremely high up on our predictions for very, very top meta. So I'm going to rename this to definitely top tier and likely top tier. So let's just slap another couple of ones in here. For T tier, we're just going to go no point discussing. And let's just go ahead and fill that one out with pretty much every jank leader that I mean, like, some of them are probably don't deserve to be here, but I'm just gonna slap in everything that I don't feel like is worth like the time discussing in this video. Like, a lot of these leaders are fundamentally just like going to be doing something a little bit worse than what like similar other decks are doing, right? Like I could put Kaido in for contention, but fundamentally, like, I'm just going to be choosing Purple Luffy. Katakuri, I could put in there. I'm going to be always choosing Kalgara. Like, spoiler alert. So I'm just like, Kid is the worst Supernova deck. Like, there's no point playing Kinemon really. Like, so, you know, I'm just filling this out here, just so we can get through and get to the interesting discussion. Actually, there's going to be something to talk about with this Luffy. So let's hold on to that for a moment. Red Luffy again, just worst version. Probably something to discuss there. Don't care. Have to discuss that. Don't care. Should discuss that. Don't care. Don't care. Should discuss that. Don't care. This is this is a little repetitive. I apologize. I'm just getting this all out of the way right now so that we actually, to be fair, okay, I have something to say about Sakazuki. But yeah, just getting all of these leaders out of the way, which again, like pre-starters, we really don't need to waste more than the amount of time I'm currently spending on them discussing. Okay, so we've eliminated most of these in the game. Let's continue. So we've got likely top tier, potential, and locals. So let's start with Ace. I think Ace is squarely in potential. I think Ace's potential is going to be pretty much dependent on how much BY there is. My inclination is BY is just going to fall off massively because, one, it's going to have a dog shit Bonnie matchup. Two, it's going to have a dog shit Zoro matchup. And so the moment BY falls off, then Ace becomes a lot better because now there's pretty much no really strong protection running around. And when there's basically no like really strong protection running around, like i.e. Sabo, Ace can suddenly really start eating with a really high value removal and being able to apply red pressure that hasn't really existed in a while. So I'm putting Ace in potential. I really want to put it in likely top tier. I think following the starter deck, it definitely is in likely top tier, but pre-starter, I think I can only put it in potential. This Ace, I'm just going to put in locals. If this was red-blue, I'd be so much higher on it, but there we go. Whitebeard as well. I think I've got to put it in potential for the similar reasons to Ace. It's the more aggressive version, and again, when we're considering like going into a Bonnie meta, right? Like, you're going to be able to beat the crap out of Bonnie so much faster than Bonnie is going to be able to do anything to you. Obviously, Bonnie's leader ability is going to do huge work in that matchup, but yeah, it's one that I'm going to like be considering for sure. Chopper, I'm going to put in potential as well. This is like a Giga Bum Rush aggro deck that can do some solid stuff. And we're going to put Egghead. We're going to put Vegapunk up there too. Post 08, he really does become a bit of a threat. Carrot, I'm just going to put in locals. I would always rather play Bonnie. I'm just going to slap some of these more fun decks here that I think deserve a mention as like they're probably not bad, but I really wouldn't be taking them to like a serious event. For a variety of reasons. So we're just going to go ahead and slap all of these up in here. Bella Betty, like, it's just too fragile. Doffy up there as well. Okay, and I'm just going to put Luffy at the top here. I doubt this Luffy deck does anything. But it's possible. if we end up in like a full-on Moria meta or something, like, I guess it's possible when you just hard counter the Black Mirror. But yeah, I think I'm just putting in locals here. Okay, so onto some more decks that are probably going to be quite good. I think that oh no, there's probably in locals too as well. There's some potential there, but let's wait till 09. Okay, Doffy is in potential. I think the problem with Doffy is it's been putting up results. I just don't think it's really gonna continue putting them up. I think, like, yeah, you can go wide. The problem is pre-starter. I don't think Doffy has the gas to keep up. And in particular, I just think, like, you have to sort of choose one way when you're building your deck, or like be slightly weaker to both. in terms of what removal you play, right? You're either playing Gravelade or you're playing Red Rock. You can play both, but then your deck becomes a little more inconsistent, or you're seeing them less often. And if we're in a meta that's playing a lot of the little Russia guys or in lots of BY, then we want the Grav Blades. But if we're in a meta with lots of big guys, for example with Bonnie, then we're going to want the pistols. So it's a little awkward. I definitely think like Doffy. I'll put it in likely top tier because it's been performing so much recently. I think putting it in potential is a little bit harsh, but like it's one of the decks where like I mean Ace is definitely just going to absolutely thrash it, right? Like with the removal, and Zorro can build for it. So I'm always just a little like iffy on that, but yeah. Okay, some more potential decks. Okay, well let's slap Dragon there. Enel's got to be in potential. I think it's the worst one of these decks, but you always got to mention it. Calgara as well. It's pretty decent. Got pushed out by RP Law, but now that's dead. Red-green. We cope, boys. We cope. We cope. There's potential here. 07 was a fun format, and this just lost its worst matchup. So I think there's really going to be something to explore here in OP08, especially pre-starters, before a lot of these decks start running away, where like, you know, Marco's not going to be there, like completely ruining this ability through removal. Doffy's not going to run it over in about 5 seconds. I really think like if there's going to be a time in the near future when red-green law is viable, it's probably going to be now. Okay, Purple Luffy, this has got to be in potential for sure, and honestly, I'm going to slap it up in likely top tier. I just think like everyone's forgotten how strong this deck was after 05, but like now that we are very much moving away from a meta that's going to be able to bum rush it, which is what it was quite weak to, and we're moving away from having very much removal at all, this deck is suddenly extremely scary. And it's one that I 100% have my eye on. I think if you haven't got like Purple Luffy marked as like a serious top tier contender, you're crazy. Marco is going to be in potential tier, needs starters, probably bottom of the potential tier. It's not great right now, I need starters really badly. Moria, that's got to be in likely top tier. In fact, I'm going to put it in definitely top tier, as the third member of the trifecta of basically guaranteed to see play. This deck has not gone anywhere, it's not going anywhere. Fundamentally, it's extremely good, and it just lost its worst matchup, so there's no way this deck goes anywhere. Lucci... I mean, Lucci is still definitely good, but I just see no reason really to play it over Moria now. Like, the maths that made it so broken is kind of gone. And Moria, like, just has that long game recursion. Like, your removal is better as Lucci. I'm going to put Lucci in likely top tier. I think I'd be preferring Moria over it, but, like, you know, for what it's worth. Like, they're both good. Nami is, of course, going to go in likely top tier. Got on the top of likely top tier. Bonnie's not a good matchup for it, so we're going to need to see how fast Bonnie gets pushed out of the format, because if Bonnie hangs around, then Nami's not having a great time. Potential for sure for Perona. I think it's fine. Rebecca, also potential. Deck's decent. Reiju, here we go. Got to go in likely top tier for sure. There is mega potential on this deck. I mean, its worst matchup just got pushed out, right? Like, the deck that just said you can't function. So, yeah, big W there. And then last two decks, I'm going to put Sakazuki there, and I'm going to put Uta in potential as well. Okay, Uta, whatever. Sakazuki, unironically, has potential. I genuinely am, like, quite confident that this deck can do something. Now, it might be that that's with a Warlord lean rather than a Control lean, but... yeah, I'm pretty confident this deck's going to do something. So there we go. That's my tier list. That's my OP08 tier list. I am confident in this. I think you can... and this is where you start, right? I think if you're testing for NATS, this is where you begin. And you take everything in the definitely top tier and likely top tier, you build it, and you grind out testing with them. And when you feel you understand that, you can then start looking at the potential decks, because that is going to be your meta. And you can look for in potential for a silver bullet that is going to really overperform into the decks above there. I mean, personally, like, if I was going to Liverpool, which I think is in 2 weeks as the time of recording, which is the first NATS, I would take Zorro. That's my pick. I think, like, you're going to absolutely destroy, like, most of the really top decks, and like, yeah, the Moria matchup's going to suck, but like, I think it's going to be really underrepresented. I think everyone's just going to be on these like the Bonnie and the BY and the Reiju, like, which everyone's getting excited about, and I think you just sit there and you bum rush and you just go, huh, Zorro good. Now, following that first weekend, I think it's going to be a little more complicated, and you're going to be trying to read where the meta's ending up. But I think if Zoro has a really, really good weekend, we probably see the rise of Black. And if Black is showing up en masse, I'm probably looking to play something like Ploofy. Probably Ploofy, because I feel like Black is really going to struggle to handle, like, Moria does not have great removal, so you're going to really struggle to deal with Ploofy's aggression, and Black's not going to be aggressing Ploofy, so it's not going to be at risk. So I'd probably be looking for Ploofy at that stage in the format, and then late stage format, when Black gets pushed out, and BY is pushed out, and Bonnie's pushed out, let's take an army. Fun. Why not? But there we go. That's my tier list. If you guys found this video useful, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. My patrons have had this for a while. If you support me on Patreon, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you to my patrons. You should check out my Patreon, linked in the description. Subscribe, get me to 3K. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.